Hello, it's Billy Goat here. It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, I am back. I suspect, like most people, pandemic and one or two other things have kept me away, but I am back and intend to start creating a lot more content on this channel. It's lain dormant for 12 months now, having had a relatively decent start. But yeah, we're back, and if this live stream test works, I may do more of them in the future. I can get it up onto numerous platforms, but we'll see how we go. So this is the first one back. I am Sean from Billy Goat Wargaming, and those of you who recall previously, I sort of tend to focus on well, Peter Pig, really, and hence the name Billy Goat. Peter Pig and 15mm. Let's say 15mm in general, but Peter Pig in the main, because those are the sort of games I enjoy. You may pick up the telephone ringing. That shows that this is live. And hello, Manus. It's good to see you. This is a real experiment. I wasn't expecting anybody to join me, actually, but it's good to see you, and thank you for commenting. But I'm going to do a little review of a few bits and pieces that I've picked up. So I've renewed my love affair with 15mm. Over the last 12 months or so, I've been running a podcast called God's Own Scale podcast, which concentrates on 6mm gaming, and I bring attention to that scale, which has often struggled to get a foothold, I think, within the war games community. And 15mm struggles from this too, but Martin Goddard at Peter Pig is doing some great work with a magazine, free online magazine called The Mill, which I recommend any of you to check out. It's freely available through the peterpig.co.uk website, and people contribute articles and pictures of their collections, and it's really good. It really is. I've read the latest one. I think it's Martin tries to get it out quarterly, but I've read the latest one, and I have to say it's better than one of the glossy magazines that I picked up last week. So get on it if you enjoy some 15mm. It's not just Peter Pig, actually. It's any 15mm. So although it's produced by Peter Pig, you're quite welcome to talk about any 15mm, really. So I seem to have 3 viewers. That's quite remarkable. I hadn't announced this. This is an experiment. You will have to forgive me if you'll have to forgive me for some ums and ahs as I try to get to grips with this software called StreamYard. And I'm doing this because I'm actually appearing on somebody else's YouTube channel tonight from 7:30. Alex at Storm of Steel, the fabulous YouTube channel that Alex has got covering World War II gaming, some Dark Ages, some Napoleonics, quite a lot of variety on there. And Alex is an award winner. He's just won the Caesar Award for the best YouTube video. The subject matter, James, this is an experiment, a test, a bit of an experiment, and I'm just going to show some new bits and pieces that I've picked up from Peter Pig. It's a real smorgasbord of stuff, which I'll talk through shortly. Nothing exciting, I'm afraid. It's just really a test of this software and live streaming in general. But So tune in at 7:30 to the Storm of Steel YouTube channel and check out what Alex is talking about, and his I think he's actually going to be interviewing me, more so with my connection with the God's Own Scale podcast, which if any of you are into 6mm, I recommend you take a look at. But I did ask a question actually around the podcast that I produce, God's Own Scale, how people would feel about me doing some 15mm content on there. Interestingly, on Twitter, it was pretty much overwhelming. They wouldn't mind if I did a little bit of 15mm content on there. But my Patreons, who after all keep the lights on in regards to the hosting costs and microphones, etc., pretty much want it to be kept as a 6mm podcast, maybe with the odd flitter here or there. Ralph Astley and yourself got me into AK-47. Thank you. Well, I hope that's not cost you too much money, James. AK-47 is a great game. Ralph has produced quite a bit more content than me. I have to say those videos that I did last year were a little bit faltering. In fact, I don't think I finished that game off on air, or something happened to the file of the video. I must do some more of that and take a look at the AK-40. I painted up 15 eyes. Oh my God. Well, I do apologise, but hopefully Martin, Peter Pig and the 15mm industry have benefited from that, so that will be good. Anyway, let's. This is intended to be 20 to 30 minutes long, this live stream. I hopefully will do some more of them in the future. But as I say, it's a bit of an experiment. I'm really not sure what I'm doing. Here's my hands. So I just thought I'd show off a few bits and pieces that I ordered. So background to the majority of this is I am currently painting, once I get this off the shelf, bear with me. I'm currently painting the buildings for my Spanish Civil War collection to use with Bayonets and Ideology. So for anybody that doesn't know, it's a game set within the Spanish Civil War, and typically the games take place around a town. I'm just trying to get some other buildings out here, but so there's quite a few buildings there. That's most often where the fighting would take place, as opposed to just bare patches of countryside. So within the rules, you probably need 15, 16 buildings, I suppose, to occupy the various building templates. Of course, you can set the table up however you want. The rules are yours, but if you're following the guidelines within the rules and the rules as written, excellent manners. Well, it'd be nice to see some of those. I don't know. I'll get people to share photographs. I'd perhaps set up a Facebook page maybe for Billy Goat Wargaming, but I'd like to see those. The Spanish Civil War has been a long time. I've had a fascination with that war for a long time. There you go, get my words out. And the Peter Pig rules really are great for that game. I've got an anarchist militia force, which I'm very proud of. It's one of my favourite armies that I've got. And I've also got a nationalist army using the regular army list within the rules. I'd love some Civil Guard or Assaultos and some Moors maybe to go along with it, and also some International Brigade. Anyway, I am waffling. Land of Freedom is a great film, yes. Ian Hart is the actor in that, the Liverpudlian actor who also plays Father Bioka in The Last Kingdom. Interesting. Anyway, because I needed one or two extra buildings, I've been scouting around to see who produces Peninsular Mediterranean style pan-tiled buildings. So the majority of the ones I've got are these, which are from they were from SHQ Miniatures, or they were originally by a company called The Drum. The castings are pretty rough. I suggest. Yes. Was that your tower posted on the RFCM site today, Manus? I haven't seen that, Manus. If you've done that, I posted one yesterday myself, and I'm going to show it shortly. Yes, Manus, you must get onto the RFCM forum. It's a really friendly group. All Peter Pig fans need to get there. Martin Goddard, the Peter Pig proprietor and good friend of mine, is on there regularly, as are most of the playtesters and the Weymouth crew that play a lot of these games. But these buildings are the ones that Martin's got himself and has used in his demo games. Yes, it's very confusing. I use Billy Goat on this YouTube channel, but I am Sean Clark, yes. So I've had these for an age, and the condition of these buildings when I received them was quite disappointing. I'm really not sure you're going to be able to see this, but you might just be able to see there's a little bubble in the casting of that window, which is really quite disappointing. And this window here, you can see, has got some flash in it. I've tried to remove as much as I can with my limited hobbying skills. You can see another obvious one there. But I think once on the table, sort of at this distance, it's less obvious. And I bought them now, so I am going to use them. I am going to be adding bases to some of these. Let me just see if I can grab one out. This base isn't quite finished, actually. But this is just a bit of wallpaper for some sort of cobblestone look with a little trough outside it, and there's a doggy at the back, just to add a little bit of detail. But yeah, they're pretty rough, but they paint up okay, and I think from this sort of distance they're okay. So anyway, what I wanted was a tower, because one of the objectives in the game is a tower that will go on a hill. Yes, woof woof. I haven't quite painted in yet. I need to get some colour on that doggy. But yeah, a tower for the hill. So I scouted around and found the 3D print from, I'll have to put the name up in the show notes, but it's a one-piece casting, which is great, no gluing together. There's a little bell in there, little bit of sort of crumbled away stucco there, and a cross above the door. So it's obviously a religious tower, and obviously religion played quite a large part in the Spanish Civil War. Well worth getting a book by Paul Preston, who writes very well about the conflict. But as is the case with a lot of 3D prints, you get sort of a striation, which is these sort of lines as the file builds up the whatever this material is. It's not resin, and it's also very smooth. So I've just added a little bit of polyfiller, a thin cover of polyfiller over it, just to give it this sort of roughed up feel. You can still see the striations in places, but you know, it's a war game piece. And sort of from the table, this will sit actually on a bit of a hill with a track going up to it on a 6-inch square base. I've gone way off topic. This is about the stuff. So anyway, I've been painting these buildings, and that's the point. Putting these little bits and pieces on the base just to add interest. So these buildings, I'll get it. There's about 19 or 20 of these buildings I've done, so I will add those on. But I wanted one or two other bits and pieces, so I've ordered the coffins, because there is a church actually I've purchased. That's actually an Empires at War church in MDF, coloured MDF. And you can just see, hopefully, the dead guy in the coffin there. This is from the, I think it was cast originally for the Western range, but that'd be nice. Some dead cows. Well, there's, unfortunately, cows are often the victims of war and end up dead in the field. They could be asleep, I suppose. Got some of them. I've got these hitching posts and water troughs. Again, this was designed for the Western range, but this will look nice outside one of these buildings. For the churchyard, I've got some gravestones, so that'll be nice. Yes, avoid timeshares, absolutely. I concur. So these are little sprinkles, really, just to add around. I've actually got a box of, a little bag of barrels and signposts, and there's the odd civilian actually that I'll put on some of these bases, so that will be good when they're done. The other little thing that's on the go at the moment, I'm rooting in another tray here, is Pieces of 8. So little ship here, it just needs finishing off. I've got to paint the back plate. There you go, a little bit of detailing on there. I've got to add a little bit of colour to it. The bowsprit needs finishing off. So for the purposes of that, I've purchased some deck crew. These are tiny little things. I mean, I'm used to painting 6mm figures, but these are probably, well, the scale of the ship is nominally 1/450th. So it's what, another 50% smaller. And I've obviously got 2 of those. I thought I bought some deck guns, but obviously not. So yep, a few more deck crew, so it looks like these will be dotted around the decking of these ships, and as if by magic I've ordered another ship. So I reckon for the Pieces of 8 rules, which are the pirate rules that Peter Pig produce for both sea and land actions, you need, if you want to cover all options, as in warships, merchant ships, small, medium and large, you probably need about 17 or 18 of these ships. You can get away with less if you don't mind calling a medium ship a small ship, or a large ship a medium ship, or a small ship a medium ship, just for the sake of one game or so. But I am a bit of a completionist. So excuse me 1 minute. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be getting those. I'm not quite sure which one this is now. I've got a feeling this is the medium warship, but I don't know if that helps. But there's about 3 or 4 moving parts on it. This has only got the 2 sails, so this is definitely a medium flute. I think that's the right phrase, a merchant flute. So it's not quite finished yet. I do have another actually. Actually, this might be a medium warship. This is the medium flute. I think I posted a picture of this up on the RFCM site. I'm not sure which colour works best for the whole. Obviously they wouldn't all be the same anyway, and I've got to add a little bit of colour to both of these just to brighten them up a little bit. They weren't just plain wood, but they'll be nice. I think these ships, I'm not going to rush on getting these. I've probably got 8, 9 so far. I'm not going to rush on getting these painted up. The sort of thing that you can build, undercoat and get painted in probably half an hour, I suppose. But they're a nice palette cleanser. So if you're painting, they are, James. I'm a big fan. I've been a long time fan of Peter Pig. So yes, so they're a good palette cleanser. So if you're painting up a large collection of figures of infantry, cavalry, artillery, etc., then just knocking one or two of these out in between, and you'll soon build your collection up. So that's what I intend to do. And keeping on the nautical theme, Martin announced or posted on the forum the other day that he's redone the Onondaga. I think that's the right pronunciation. That may be wrong. It was a resin ship, or made out of resin initially. And I don't have this in my Hammering Iron fleets anyway. So he's updated the sculpt. There's a couple more moving parts. As you can see, it's a double turreted monitor class Union ship. Some quite nice detailing on the deck there. You can see a couple of anchors, a couple of hatches, the grate, which will be allowing some air beneath into the lower decks, and the space there for a couple of funnels. That's the word I'm trying to think of. So there we go. We've got 2 turrets. I just need a little bit of filing or clipping. We have a funnel. We also have, there's actually 4 small funnels on there. I'm not sure where the other 2 go. That might just be extra. And then there's, I think this thing here, I'm not that familiar with this ship, must go on top of this turret because there's a hole in it. I'm no scientist or mathematician, but I'm guessing that will be the case. I need to take a look at Martin's original. So there we go. Those are the few bits and pieces that I've ordered in the last, in fact, delivery of this I think was less than a week, which is pretty good considering some companies are really struggling to get orders out. But how Peter Pig is set up, they've got 2 workshops and 2 full-time employees doing the moulding, casting and packing. So I guess that's Nigel in one workshop and Mike in the other. But as you can see, that's quite a low profile. That's how it would sit in the water. If you've not played Hammering Iron, James, I highly recommend it as a good beer and pretzel style game. Of course, you need a little bit of interest in the American Civil War, and you need even more interest in the River Rhine actions. But it really is a great game. And that's really not going to stay on, is it? That turret. Anyway, there you go. Those are the few bits and pieces that I've purchased. I'm very happy with them, as usual. I'm going to be doing a couple more videos, not live streams, but a couple more videos today, I think, because I've dug out my lead pile and it is shocking. Goodness me, I've got a lot of stuff. And it's funny because these bits here I've just bought, and these are probably going to go straight to the top of the painting pile. Yeah, I'm afraid, listening, that I am a consumer, and I listen to podcasts. Well, there you go. Civil War battles. So that's great. What a great set of rules. Probably one of my favourite that Martin produces. But I am a consumer of the products and videos like this, so they cost me money. In fact, the live stream I'm on tonight on the same platform with Alex, he's the guy who's told me to. Sorry, not told me. He's got the spark going again for my 15mm and Peter Pig figures. Horses and cannons in modern Africa. Yeah. Well, I hope you're enjoying AK-47. James, if you're serious that you've painted 15 armies, that's an incredible effort. That must be one for every type of army in the rule book. I do love that game, and I think having, yes, good. Me too. I think having had that playthrough last year, which was the first time I played AK-47 in a good while, I'd certainly got rose-tinted glasses about the first edition. Peter Pig took quite a hammering actually when they redid it and added a bit of extra chrome into the rules, into the second edition. They took quite a hammering over it, which I thought was a little bit unfair, because nobody is going to break into your house and steal away your copy of the first edition of the rules. So you pays your money and you makes your choice, and if you don't like the new set, then don't buy it and stick with the original set. Exactly, yes. And for me, it's sort of along the lines of the Imaginations movement that the likes of Henry Hyde and one or two others started with the 18th century made-up uniforms and made-up countries. But this is just transported into modern Africa, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, modern Africa. And I understand there might be some delicate sensibilities about recreating that kind of warfare, but I think it's done in a respectful manner. And the rules, the playthroughs that I did last year comparing the first edition and second edition really cemented in my mind that the second edition is by far the better game to play. I sort of knew that already, but I had some rose-tinted glasses from experiences of playing first edition and doing a couple of events down in Northampton. A guy called Graham Evans ran what was called then BricsCon, where for probably 6 or 7 years a large group of people got together and played AK-47 in a sort of competition environment. I was always rubbish at it. I rarely won a game. But it was good, and people were very creative with the scenery and the armies that they constructed. Obviously, in the original edition, you'd only got 5 to choose from, but in the new version, there's 15, I think, and then 5 armies covering the Middle East. Yeah, it cemented that rule set as a firm favourite, and I doubt I'll go back now to playing the original. So my 25-year-old son picked up the game the first time I showed him. He's not a war gamer, and that's testament to a great war game rule set. Absolutely. At the basic level of understanding the movement, the shooting, the fighting, the morale, it's difficult to fault. And Martin does receive some criticism in some quarters that the rules aren't particularly clear to first-time readers. I've been part of the playtest team for over 10 years and party to the sort of inner workings of how these rules are constructed. So perhaps it's my familiarity with how Martin writes and the mechanics that he uses, but I don't find that to be the case. I find them pretty straightforward. I am a visual learner, so reading a set of rules is never good for me. I usually need somebody to show them to me, and once they've done that, and then I go on to read the rules, then it all becomes very clear. And that's true for any rule set. Never mind the criticism that have been levelled at Martin, which, as I say, I think are unfair. Some of the mechanics that Martin has come up with across the whole range of rule sets he does, from Bloody Barons to Vietnam to AK-47 to Civil War battles, which you've mentioned, James. Yeah, exactly. And I fully intend, and I've intended this for 12 months, but now the mojo is back. I'm either going to do Vietnam or Regiment of Foot as the next sort of review stroke playthrough. I can do the Vikings game, Longships. I can put on the Civil War Battles game and do a playthrough of that. PBI for World War II. I can do Square Bashing for World War One. Hammering Iron I can do. Once these buildings are finished, I can do the Spanish Civil War. I can do PITS, which is Patrols in the Sudan. Yeah, agreed, James. It's heartening to hear. Are you a member on the forum? Hopefully so, because there's some great discussion that goes on there. I've been posting like a madman on there over the last 4 or 5 days. I've had a few days off work, so I've not posted an awful lot over the pandemic, over the last few months. So I'm sort of catching up on some threads on there that I've missed and contributing to those. And great, James. Well, I hope to converse with you on there in the very near future. So yeah, for me, well, in fact, if I look back on it, 95% of the war games, historical war games, because I do play some fantasy and science fiction games as well, but 95% of the historical war games I've played over the last 15 years or so have been Peter Pig games. There's been 1 or 2 other historical games I've played, but that's generally from friends at my local club putting on games, whether it's Black Powder or Muskets and Tomahawks or that sort of thing. But when it comes around to my turn to put on a game for the club, then it's invariably a Peter Pig game. I did have an unfortunate incident where I lost a portion of my collection a while ago. Oh, they are great, James. I've really enjoyed. I'm sorry I haven't made the link. I've loved the look of those AK-47 pictures that you put up. Really well done, mate. More power to your elbow. They are really good. I've really enjoyed looking at those. So yeah, so it has formed the vast majority of my wargaming, and it will continue to do so. I do have this sort of other branch to my gaming in in doing the 6mm stuff. So over lockdown, I have painted a very large collection of 6mm American Civil War to use with Ultra Freedom for the Battle of Antietam, which I'm really looking forward to using. And I painted up a large collection of 6mm World War One to play the Battle of Mons, and I've been doing the scenery for that. So that's sort of occupied my time. But those are really modelling projects, and I'll be almost one-off games, whereas I could play Peter Pig games every week. If I lived anywhere close to Weymouth, then I would be playing them. Yeah, Blucher, definitely. I've no experience of Grand Armée, but it's the same sort of scale, isn't it, where a unit is on one base. And on the podcast, on the God's Own Scale podcast, I interviewed Alan Hankin, who is the owner proprietor of Grumbler Miniatures, which are a new 6mm company on the block. It's not very often you get a new company coming along into the hobby, but he's producing some lovely figures. Yes, that's right. It's the same author, isn't it? Sam Mustafa. Yes. And he's producing 6mm figures for the 100 Days campaign. And I've sort of committed to him to say, as an encouragement to him or a spur to him, if you make all the figures that you need to fight the Blucher scenario for Waterloo, Ligny, Quatre Bras and Wavre, then I will buy them, paint them and play them. So that's a sort of a commitment I've made in public on the podcast. So I'll be doing that in due course. And I bought a few figures just to get me going. He's just starting out, really. I think he's been going sort of 12 months or so. He uses an external sculptor that he commissions for his pieces, but well worth looking at if you're looking at 6mm Napoleonics. Obviously, there's the big kids on the block are Adler and Bacchus, who are excellent as well. But this is my effort really to support a brand new company and get his name out there. And he's promised the whole lot, from sappers to Mamluks to Napoleon and Napoleon's carriage, as well as obviously all the Allied contingent that Wellington commanded. I used to play Grande Armée back in the early 90s using Airfix and play Peninsula Campaign in 100 days. You're not from the Bristol area, are you, James? The only reason I asked that is because a friend of mine from, I think it's the Biggins Club, might not be the Biggins Club in Bristol, but Steve Evans, he's relayed to me a story of playing the 100 days in using 1/72 Airfix figures back in the day. But I'm sure there's more than one of you out there playing Napoleonics using the Airfix figures. But yeah, so that will be coming. That's the other sort of stream to my historical gaming. It was what got me started, wargaming and adult life. Well, this is a fantastic hobby, isn't it? It encapsulates so many disciplines, from research to painting to modeling to tactics on the actual wargame table. I think most of us would agree that the actual playing of the game is quite a small percentage of the hobby. Interestingly, with Martin Goddard, who's the author of the rules, look forward to it. Blucher GA isn't too dissimilar to Martin. Yeah, I'd agree. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Blucher. There's an excellent YouTube channel. I can never pronounce the guy's name. I think the channel will be called Armchair Dragoons or something like that. And the guy's name's Jim, but then lots of vowels and consonants in the wrong order. It's like a Polish sounding name. He uses Tabletop Simulator to play Blucher, and his YouTube channel is just full of historical battles. And he's recently done Leipzig, the whole of Leipzig using Blucher, and playtime was something like 36 hours, something like that. An incredible effort spread out over numerous videos. Wargaming is the best. Never understood miniature modelers who don't wargame. That's what the figures vehicles are for. Amen to that. Amen to that. They're so nerdy, aren't they, these guys who just sit and paint 54mm figures or whatever. It's such a nerdy hobby. You'd never catch me doing that. So, I think if you type Armchair General or Armchair Dragoon into, actually no, type in Blucher Leipzig or Blucher Quatre Bras, something like that. I think you'll find it. Yeah, with the Leipzig game. The channel, I can't look it up whilst I'm doing this on my phone, so I can't look it up unfortunately, but his first name's Jim. It's a group of American guys. Armchair Dragoons rings a bell, but I don't think the YouTube channel's called that. But if you type in Leipzig Blucher game or something like that, you'll find it. It's played across Tabletop Simulator, which is this sort of virtual tabletop. He's just done the Battle of Antietam using Ultra Freedom, which looks amazing. He's clearly tweaking the graphics as he goes, and it's the closest thing to having a hologram of a wargame table in front of you with actual figures represented on this virtual table. I haven't watched all 30 odd hours of the Leipzig game, I have to say, but I've watched a fair proportion of it. He did Austerlitz as well, actually, which was I've watched nearly every minute of, and that was fascinating. But yeah, so I've rambled on for now 39 minutes. This was meant to be half an hour. I'm gonna wind this down now, but thanks for keeping me occupied, James. It's been great to chat. Keep up the great work with the AK-47 stuff. Keep posting some pictures up. of whatever you do on the RFCM forum. And there'll be more of these live chats, but there's certainly more content coming for the channel, with some playthroughs and painting and just sort of general paint and chats and that kind of thing. But yeah, thanks for that, James. It's been great to chat. I think a couple of other people have popped in. I absolutely did not expect anybody to go in. I thought I'd be talking to myself. So it's been great to chat, James, and stay safe, play nice, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.